must have considered a number of factors. One of such factors is the security of your routes, the security of your journey. Well, I'm here to share with you some of my early thoughts. This was younger me back in 2009 or 2010, a young accounting graduate, accounting and finance graduate, thinking of how to impact the little knowledge I acquired from the university on the general public. But it dawned on me that I could not do much without professionalizing, without going into the rigor of acquiring the skills that is required to impact on the public. Back in 2010, I had to undergo a series of skills acquisition through the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Now, connecting that skills acquired with the problems we face today in Nigeria of security challenges, I had been thinking of a lot of gaps back then, like 15 to 16 years ago. Some of these challenges are so enormous that cannot be breached by a single individual. When I was given the invitation to this program, I thought of these problems and many more, but I wouldn't settle for any. I settled for one. This one problem or idea that I thought of like 7-8 years ago was the nexus or the connection that we have between domestic revenue mobilization and the traditional institution. Very important. Somebody might be wondering, what will be the connection between domestic revenue mobilization? And for those that are not in the industry, domestic revenue mobilization simply means taxation. And I know it's a dreaded topic. People do not want to hear about taxation. But that is what assisted our forefathers right from the pre-colonial days. Northern Nigeria contributed 80% of the federal government revenues before, independence. And it fixed a lot of problems because we use the traditional institution to mobilize for revenue. Not only for revenue, we use it to fix security issues that we had before the colonial days, during the colonial days, and even post the colonial period. So my message to you, or the simple message I'm trying to present here, is that what fixed the problem of our forefathers can be used to fix our current problem, especially that has to do with revenue mobilization and security. I will come to how the two connect. So I had a lot of models that I was thinking of back in the university, even post-university days. But your knowledge can only be impactful if you have a platform to impact. I was preparing and came the opportunity back in 2019 when I was appointed the executive chairman of Kano State Internal Revenue Service, or Kaduna State, I beg your pardon, because now I'm in Kano, so I tend to mix the two states. So I had this opportunity to now practicalize the ideas I had to show the relationship that can exist between taxation and traditional institution. And I'm going to propose it as a solution to the problem that we face today. Now, what is the idea and what is the solution that I'm proposing? We know that the government of any clime, any country that we have today, will always be telling the public that there are inadequate resources to cater for all the public goods and services. But I thought of a different way of thinking, or I had a different way of thinking, of saying that we don't need to rely on what the government, especially subnationals in the case of Nigeria, get from the federal government. We can do things differently. Why not borrow from what our forefathers did, using the traditional institution to mobilize the resources and to also secure an environment? I came up with the idea of the traditional institution for development. Traditional institution for development. Now we got to work. What we did was very simple in Kaduna. We started implementing, but for some of the changes, we couldn't see through to the conclusion. This is the idea. We profiled all the Mayanguas for lack of better word in English, because I know Miangwa carries a lot of meaning. We profiled all the Miangwas in Kaduna. We profiled all the Dekachis, you know the hierarchy. We profiled all the Hakimis and the first-class emirs and chiefs in Kaduna in that hierarchy. And for those that understand the traditional institution, I think the Miangwa is the last guy on the bottom of the pyramid. Then you have the Dekachi, you have the Hakimi, you have the first-class emir. What we do is very simple. Now, if the laws in Nigeria provides for the collection of only 100 naira, or 500 naira, or 1,000 naira, as the case may be, depending on the state where you're coming from, then we can actually use that 1,000 naira that will contribute as individual citizens to do things differently. So the idea was that Kaduna State was charging 1,000 naira for development levy. We said, okay, the government can, part with maybe 500 naira and use 500 naira for its other needs. 500 naira can be used to finance the traditional institution, not for revenue purposes, but for security purposes. The reason why the traditional institution is not working is simply because they are not funded and they lack any constitutional role to play. By empowering them to do what they did 70, 80 years ago, we believe security can be fixed in Nigeria. So what we did simply was to say the last guy at the bottom of the pyramid, which is the Miangwa, should ensure that the citizens under him pay the 1,000 naira through him. That 1,000 naira will be collected by Miangwa, and he earns a commission of 100 naira out of the 1,000 naira. By so doing, Miangwa will ensure that all the talakawas, for lack of better words in English, or the citizens, will pay that 1,000 naira because he is going to earn a commission of 100 naira. In fact, not only the individuals, including the animals, he will ensure he counts the animals, as they did 80 years ago. In that way, he will have a register of all the people under him. He will know the houses. He will know the new guys that are coming into his community because he is earning 100 naira from 1,000 naira. Not only that, you need somebody to supervise the Miangwa. That is where the Dekachi comes into the equation. The Dekachi will earn 50 naira out of 1,000 naira from what is being collected. In that way, you are actually engendering or entrenching effective supervision. Because under the Dekachi, you have many Miangwas. So he can actually handle them, and he has an aggregation effect of 50 naira from the bottom. Now, the Dekachi also need to be supervised. Because not only that they are mobilizing revenue for public needs, they are also securing their immediate environment. This is where the Hakimi comes into the equation. Now the Hakimi will also be entitled to 50 naira for supervising effectively all, the Dekachis under him. In that way, you actually hierarchically putting the supervision. Nobody will escape this kind of security arrangement or, supervision. After the Hakimi, you have the first-class emir. In the case of Zazzau, possibly the first-class emir that we have here, that will be given that constitutional role, if you want to put it that way, to supervise all the Hakimis, and he will be entitled to 15 naira also. You are not only solving security problems using this model, you are actually solving, or you are not only solving physical problems, you are also solving security issues. Because without, the traditional police we have, or the constitutional police we have, you already have the traditional institution doing the work for you. Now, it came the time for implementation. I took time to go around almost all the emirates and chiefdoms here in Kaduna. And the message has always been one. You actually try to do what our forefathers did by revitalizing the traditional institution. And the applause was high. The traditional institution was very, happy with the noble idea. We started implementing. This is the connection between the idea and tech. By the way, I'm also a techie. We had to go back and develop an app, which is still in existence here in Kaduna, but it has not been used, to develop what we call Traditional Institution Collection App, where all the Miangwas are profiled on the system, and their commission will be paid instantly as they collect. So the incentive here is that as the Miangwa collects,
he sees the commission coming instantly, which will serve as a motivation and inspiration for him to do more by securing his immediate environment and also by collecting more revenues for the government. We didn't stop at that because the debate about revenue collection is that the government is collecting so much and we are not seeing the practical evidence of the collection. So now to balance the social contract equation, we now provided a law that not only that the government is entitled to 500 naira out of the 1,000, the government must ensure that 50% of whatever is being collected is reinvested in the immediate environment, and it was approved by then the government of Kaduna. Now, what that means is that while the Meambwa is collected, the citizens that are paying are seeing their money in action, so that the Meambwa will not be accused of collecting without having evidence. In that way, we are modernizing what our forefathers, the citizens then, criticized the traditional institution for. In those days, even before the colonial masters, our forefathers accused the traditional institution of exploitation. Now we are trying to modernize the system. And I so much believe that implementing this noble idea will be a solution to our security problems, not only now, but in the future. We must find a sustainable way of securing our communities. I present to you the development levy way of not only mobilizing revenue for government, but also for securing the future, not only for us, but for the citizens yet on board. Thank you.